Welcome all. Myself Geeta Priya from Tally Solutions. Today we will spend time on cost centers and budgets. To be comfortably in becoming reasonably proficient in these topics, the prerequisite is general familiarity of Tally. These prerequisites were covered in the fourth session, Beginner's Essentials. That is, especially in these areas, accounting, vouchers, and financial reporting. Even if you did not attend them, if you are comfortable with accounting part in Tally, you can follow without any problem. Let us understand the cost center. Cost centers are units to which costs or expenses are allocated. Cost centers and budgets are part of monitoring and financial control. By using these features, any business will get immediate business advantages, as these features help to get insights into their operations and to exercise some control over finances. We have a presentation shown about the cost centers, the various sections about how this can be done through cost centers. Let us assume that we are a Tally partner and that our company pays a commission on sales, service, and referrals. These expenses accounts are created as ledgers called sales, service, and referral commissions paid accounts. Let us also assume that we want to track how much each of our employees are making by way of commission and that we have 4 employees as shown here, Ram, Sham, Rahul, and Sumit. How do we track this? Do we create accounts like Ram Sales Commission account, Ram Service Commission account, and so on? Then we will be having 3 into 4, that is 12 accounts. Further, assume that we have 4 product lines, that is Tally Silver, Tally Gold, Tally Server, and others. And we want to know how much commission was paid for each of the products. What now? Do we create Ram Tally Sales Commission accounts and so on? We will be having them 3 into 4 into 4, that is 48 ledger accounts. It not only allows many accounting of ledgers, and this also becomes unmanageable. They do not allow meaningful reporting also. Take another case. We pay electricity charges for our office, and this is paid to the electricity department by one check. Let us say we want to apportion these costs to the same product lines. We cannot even split the electricity ledger. To overcome these challenges, we have the concept of cost centers. Note that cost centers is a generic word. This is also used for profit centers. Assume that we are receiving service income from customers and want to track this income across product lines as well as employees. We use the same cost centers for profit centers as well. Right, this is the concept of the cost center. Now let us see how this is handled in Tally. So let us open our learning company, ACME Traders, and do our first cost center. The company is ACME Private Limited, S11, accounting features. Under cost profit center management, we have the option maintain cost centers. Enable this feature to yes and leave rest of the options to no as default. From Gateway of Tally, Accounts Info, Cost Centers, we have single cost center and multi-cost center. So, let us create the employee cost center. Rahul, So alias is the other name where you can give in the form of abbreviation and so on. It reflects both the names for the selection. So we have a list of cost centers as it is a single and it shows under primary. If you have multiple that goes through the cost categories, that will be explained in further. So we will select as primary. And this is a single cost center creation. As we have 3 more employees to be created, we have a provision to create it through multi-cost center. So we will navigate through multi, create cost center, all items, name of the cost center, so we have Ram, primary, Sham, and Sunil. Right? Rahul has already been created. Fine? So, you can see through the option display, we have created these 4 employees as the cost center. Right? So, our first cost center is done. Now, voucher. So, let us see how a particular ledgers which we will be creating as sales commission, service, referral, how are we allocating this among these employees? So we will do the voucher. A payment. So here we can toggle through the options, the single entry and the double entry mode. So now let us take the particulars, the ledger master. The same can be created from the entry, sales, commission account, it's under expenses, indirect expenses, and here we have the option cost centers are applicable, yes. Right? So, wherever the cost centers are applicable, we set this option, yes, to tell Tally to pull out the cost centers during voucher entry. Right? So, we have created the ledger and now we will book up entry. A payment transaction of 5,000 towards sales commission. The cost allocation section will now come up. Name of the cost center, the employees we created. So let us allocate as shown on the screen and save the transaction. So you can see here Rahul is allocated with 3,000 and Shyam with 2,000. So Rahul 3,000 and Shyam 2,000. So the allocation is done and can pay by cash or bank. So being sales commission paid to Rahul and Shyam. So we save this entry. So just navigate upwards on the same entry. You can see this amount of 5,000 being apportioned, means allocated between two employees. So similarly, we can make few more transactions and allocate the respective commission among the employees. So let us create few more transactions at different dates of the same month. So we will create service commission, direct expenses, cost centers, yes, $20,000 we will allocate to Ram, 10,000 and Sunil, 10,000. So we use the shortcut key Control Alt to reflect the similar narration entered in previous entry, where you can just edit or type as a fresh. Being service commission paid to Ram and Sunil. Few more transactions. We will create referral commission paid, direct expenses, cost centers, yes, 1 lakh. Rahul, $50,000, or we'll just equally distribute 25,000. Ram 25,000, Shyam 25, Sunil 25,000. Right? So here we get a warning message showing there is no enough cash balance, where we can increase the cash balance. So accordingly, you can give the amount and the relevant narrations. So now this is done. Now let us see our first cost center reports and the navigation. So how do we navigate through the cost center reports? So navigate the cost center reports. It's from Gateway of Tally, Display, Statement of Accounts, and cost centers. So we have category summary. So let us category summary is we are here to create the categories. Let us see the primary cost categories. So let us drill down to this cost center breakup of individual Primary cost centers, Rahul. A detail mode where you get referral commission paid and sales commission paid to Mr. Rahul. Then you can still go down to the virtual level on this transactions being passed. Similarly, you can navigate to the other cost centers, detail mode. This gives you the breakup of cost centers allocated to Mr. Ram as a cost center and what are the expenses being allocated. Right? We have ledger breakup. Let us take sales commission account. It is being allocated to Rahul and Shyam as primary cost category. Similarly, service commission, referral commission paid. So here you can see referral commission, the ledger, the amount being allocated to these employees through a cost center. So here the allocation is done and you can look at the allocation from different viewpoints based on the need of a business. Now let us move on to the cost categories. What are cost categories? Cost categories are used to accumulate costs or profits for parallel sets of cost centers. So as we had explained in the introduction, the business now feels that need to get cost allocation based on product lines like Tally Silver, Tally Gold and Tally Server and so on. Now we need cost categories. Let us see how do we enable this. Similar from same configuration, F11 accounting features. After maintain cost centers, we have the feature use cost center more than one payroll of cost category. Set this option yes. Save this. Once you come from Gateway of Tally Accounts Info, you can see here the cost categories will be appearing, the menu. From here, we can create a single cost category or multi-cost categories, or you can alter the primary cost category to be named as employees, right? So let us alter. The alteration can be done in single. Also, already there is a primary cost category by default and we already grouped the employee names into it. So if you want to rename it as employees, we can do it. So let us rename as employees. So this is renamed. And here, as I said, the cost centers or categories allocation can be done both to revenue items and to non-revenue items. Accordingly, these options can be used. So I've just saved altering the primary cost categories. Now, let us create a new cost category. Create as product lines. Allocating to revenue items. Allocate revenue items to S And non-revenue items, you can just leave it as no. So now let us create creation of cost centers. As we said, different product lines, Tally Silver, Tally Gold, Tally Silver. So let us create multiple creation of cost centers. So already a category is created. Now we will group the 3 cost centers into this particular cost category. So how do we create the cost center? Cost centers, create. So when I take all items, I have both coming up. So we have already grouped under employees. So under cost center of product lines, we will be creating name of the cost center. Product lines are there. So Tally Silver, under primary, Tally Gold, Tally Server, product lines again, other products, primary. So we are through with the multiple cost centers grouped for under categories. So how do we see the cost centers grouped and their categories are grouped? So let us make another payment transaction of sales commission, accounting vouchers, sales commission, 25,000. Now you can see the sub-screen first prompts about the cost categories. Alright? For cost categories and then the corresponding cost centers. So if you are fully allocating to Mr. Rahul, then the entire amount gets allocated to Mr. Rahul. Or if this is splitted, 15,000 and then Sham 10,000. Right? So, we can do a few more transactions to get comfortable with the user experience. So let us do the service commission payment. Now here you can see we had allocated towards employees. Now let us allocate towards the product lines. Which product is aligned with this particular commission amount? So gold, Tally Gold, 5,000. Tally Silver, 5,000. Tally Silver, 5,000. So we have done this, and let us navigate to cost center reports as before and look at the same reports we explored earlier. So how do we navigate? Display, statement of accounts, cost centers. Now we have this cost category coming up, the category summary. So let us navigate how the cost centers and categories are being grouped. Category summary. You can see this, the category, cost category employees and product lines we have created and how the cost centers are being grouped accordingly. So cost center breakup, you can go cost center wise. The service commission given, individual cost center wise. So ledger breakup, group breakup, if the indirect expenses group being created, see the group creation. Cost center breakup of a particular group. Right? So this is our first cost center report we navigated. And we have seen about the cost center categories and multi-cost categories in voucher. And now let us learn about automatic allocation. So till now we were manually allocating the cost, right, by splitting the amount. Now let us see how we do this automatic allocation. One of the examples we spoke initially was about the electricity charges, and that we may like to apportion this to different product lines. Right? So let us take that example and see how Tally helps. It's very simple. If we allocated expenses and revenues to these product lines, we could then see how profitable each product line was. So now some accounts like electricity, charges for managers, salaries, and so on do not change based on every voucher. So what we say is generally estimated in advance. So we could say allocate a percentage. Let us say 25% of the electricity charges was towards the Tally Silver product, 40 to Gold, 15 to Tally Server, and the balance towards others. So it could be great if we could set this up so that we do not have to compute the amount for each voucher. Right? So let us see in the product what are the options or the features as to be enabled to automate this. So set the option under F11 accounting features. Use predefined cost center allocations during entry. The moment you enter, right, once enabled, Tally will prompt you to create a cost center class. Right? So let us create a cost center. As shown on the screen. So here the cost center is cost center classes. Let us create as electricity charges. And the moment I created electricity charges, you can see we are getting the cost categories. You can again create a new ledger called electricity account and enable cost centers are applicable and so on. So once we have created a class that is with the electricity charges, and then we will group under product lines the cost centers, categories and the cost centers. Tally Silver 25%, Tally Gold 40%, and Tally Server 15%, and others are of 20%. Fine? This is how we are predefining the percentage of allocation of the particular cost. So let us set this, save it. Once it is saved, now let us create a payment voucher towards electricity charges. Now we'll go to the accounting vouchers. By default, you can see the moment I have enabled for the cost centers, you can see in the payment cost center classes appearing. Select electricity charges and let us create a ledger. The class is electricity charges and we have grouped the product lines on the cost centers, both the cost category and the cost centers. Now, towards which account this particular amount has been accounted. So we will create a ledger. Electricity account and the direct expenses and enable the cost center. Right? So the amount here is 12,500. And now we will select the cost centers are set yes. Let us see the cash being electricity charges paid. So how it is paid, to whom it is paid? It is just automated and we can just see how this automation happens. I haven't selected individual cost centers, neither allocated the amount individually to these cost centers, right? The moment I created the class, the percentages are allocated, predefined, and the amounts is accordingly allocated during the transactions. So the navigation you can find, the moment you just go up towards the already entered entry and you can see how this amount is being bifurcated, right? So let us save this transactions and go to the next, right? So we'll just save this and now again navigate towards the report. Cost category summary. Product lines. And the allocation has automatically happened. Ledger-wise, the new ledger which we created, that is electricity account and the product lines and the bifurcation of the costs. Right? So let us have a break for 5 minutes and continue with the next topic, that is budgets. So welcome back and we will start the topic budget. So introduction to budgets. We all personally are familiar with budgets. We generally have a good idea of our incomes and so we mentally set aside some amounts for things like rent, EMI, entertainment and travel expenses. These figures are the budgeted figures for these expenses heads. So when we talk about budget, it is nothing but it's a list of all planned expenses and revenues. Right? So budgets are aspirational, meaning that what we hope will influence us, and no matter how hard we try, we may not be within the budget. The same is for investments. We may budget to set aside so much money to get the tax rebates and so on. So budgets are a result of an activity called budgeting. So how did you decide the various budgets? What all data did you use? How did you use the data? What assumptions are you making? All steps and more go into budgeting. Right? So budgeting helps us to do the planning targets for the future in terms of laying figures that the organization plans to achieve. Budgeting helps to have a control on business expenditure, since budgeting figures can be compared against actual figures and the variances can be analyzed. Right? So Tally helps you to track expenses or income against the budgets you set. Tally does not have specialized tools for budgeting. Remember that the powerful advanced reporting and analysis capabilities mean that there is a lot of reports available to help you draw the budget. So add the budget numbers that you arrive at will need to be done outside Tally. So this is not a limitation, for practically the budgeting exercise can be as simple as a target you set in your mind, or the result of multi-department, multi-project, multi-location and multi-scenario exercise that is best done using other tools. Right? So it is important that while talking to clients, we are clear that Tally supports budgets and not the formal budgeting process. Right? So this is the information about budgets, and let us see how we do this in Tally and go for our first budget. So let us start with setting out our first budget. Say we want to budget traveling expenses at 1 lakh for this year. This is a simple annual budget. So first, enable budget. You should now be familiar with Tally and where to find the feature setting. Again, F11. Accounting features. You can see here on the right hand side, budgets and scenario management, maintain budgets and control. Yes? Save this the moment the feature is enabled. Now let us create the traveling expenses which we are talking about. So let us create ledger, create travel expense account. Under indirect expense, save this. Once the ledger account is created, we will get into the budget menu. So where do you find this? And how do we create our first budget and so on? So the rest of the options with respect to cost centers and so on, you can just set this option to no. We'll later navigate how our budget can also be set to the cost centers. Right? So how do we do this? So once we have configured a ledger, and now we have to get into the budget menu. So how do we navigate? So accounts info, similarly like navigating towards your cost categories and cost centers, you can see the menu budgets. Here we have the option of creating budget, alter and quit. Let us create a budget. Give a name to the budget. So let us say budgeting travel expenses. Travel expenses budget. Hence here similarly like the primary option, if you have multiple budget creation. Now let's take this as primary. Period of budget. As we said, we are doing it for an annual period. So let us take it is from 1st April 2014 to 31st. So it could be a calendar year, it could be a financial year, 31st March 2015. Now here we have the option set alter budgets for a group, a ledger, a cost center. As of now, we have created a ledger. Let us set the option yes for the ledger. So the moment I've created so the travel expenses account, right? So the moment I am saying a travel expense account, I am budgeting that. The type of budget that we have to account that, we have two options on closing balance, on net transactions. So here, we first take with respect to the net transactions. Net transactions is transaction-wise information will be provided, and closing balance, it is about the closing balance information. So let us take net transaction wise, and I am allocating 1 lakh rupees, a budget amount, right? So once this is saved, so let us do few transactions. Gateway of Tally accounting vouchers, 1st of April, make 3 payment vouchers against this ledger. So as we have set the budget from 1st of April, so let us have a transaction from 1st of April, accounting vouchers, 1/4/2014. The payment entries, first budget report. Let us have a payment done. So let us select travel expenses account. First month 4,000, cash account. First, then we move to 1st of May, traveling expenses being accounted for 6,000. In shortcut key, I use Control-A to save the entry. And for June, 1st of June, let us see 8,000. Right? So we have accounted 3 payment vouchers against this ledger, and let us see how the budget report shows. So having created budget and some entries against the ledger, so there is, now we'll just go to accounts. Now we will check the budget report which is found across the product, and you will find this whenever you see a button alt the budget variance, right? So we will go to accounts info, account book ledger. traveling expenses. So you can see the complete transactions are counted here. And now we'll see how this using the navigation button, that is Alt B. The navigation is displayed. So we have taken this ledger virtual monthly summary, and you have an option budget variance. So we will move to this ledger voucher monthly summary. This is a transaction. So you can see here we have ledger monthly summary. You can drill down to the voucher level. We can navigate to monthly. And you have the option budget variance. Select the budget name. You can see we have the travel expenses being accounted across. Right? What is the debit balance and the closing balance? So you will now the default view that Tally shows us the ledger details for the current month. Based on the current date, we can just toggle between the months, quarterly and so on. Tally will show the budget, actual and variance. Let us say for the period April to June. So here we have the comparisons done. April, May and for the entire period variance. So let us say use the option, the column bar to show it as yearly and so on. And toggle the month wise and then the budget variance. So it gives you three sections, that is the actual expenses and the closing balance, and what is the percentage of budget being the amount of expenses incurred and then the variance. Right? So this is how we can navigate and see the budgets and actuals and the variance. For our purposes, we do not need to analyze the report. It is necessary for us to see that this report comes up for the user. So we have to only observe that even though we set 1 lakh for the whole year, Tally helpfully allocated this equal across the number of days in the year. So note that we set only one ledger in this budget setup. We could set up as many as needed and we can then get the budget variance for many ledgers in one report. Say the trial balance or the group summary. So this was done only for the ledger. Now let us see for the group. So we'll go to accounts info, budget. Budgets are needed for a group. For example, all indirect expenses, irrespective of the ledgers in that group, we may have budgets for the ledgers as well. So let us take example, in our personal life, we may have a budget for entertainment expenses, education, clothing and so on, as well as overall budget for all expenses. So let us set a budget for indirect expenses. In the same way as before, for 1,20,000 for the year on net balances. So this budget for a group. So let us create a budget for a group, indirect expenses. So create indirect expenses for the entire group. So we can give a name for this budget, monthly budget for expenses. Right? And the primary. Now the period is 31 April, 1st April to 31st May. Now here we have a provision group wise. Let us say no for the first, then from 1st May 2014 to 31st May 2014, just a month. Yes, for groups. And the account name which we were saying to create as any of the expenses. Right? So we can view budget variance handling parallel budgets, may as a 15,000 and so on. Let us do this. Let us take any of the account names of all indirect expenses. So it is again on net transaction basis, 1,20,000. So we are through with this, and let us see how we can view this monthly and so on. We will go group-wise navigation, accounts info, budgets, accounts books, group summary, indirect expenses. You see here the budget variance, monthly budget for expenses. So all the indirect expenses accordingly, the actual transactions. You can see our consistency is maintained here. So every month, and what is the variance will be displayed accordingly. So now let us see budget for a cost center. Fine. So before that, as we know, it so happens that we need to increase the budget only for the month of May to 15,000. One way is to alter the budget we just created, which was for the whole year, to a monthly one. Yes, that can be done. Instead, we look at a very powerful feature in Tally, parallel budget. Alter the previous budget, only this time add another budget line as you see in the illustration and set the budget for 15,000. So this alteration can be done. So I go back to accounts and for budgets alter. So I'll go for a month. I see it is set for entire year. Okay. So for the month of May, can alter and look at the budget variance information that can be done. The alterations can be done accordingly. So automatically Tally picks the revised amount. The budget is set. Group summary, direct expenses. You have to increase this for a particular period. Accordingly, you can increase it. Now let us move on to budgets for a cost center. So all are aware of the cost center, right? We discussed before the break. We can set up cost centers as we did to allocate expenses for product lines as well as create profit centers. We can also set budgets for cost centers and product experience remains the same as before. Let us set up some budget for cost against each product line. We can set expenses and income to budget. So we could see the same cost centers to allocate income as well and compare the expenses and income against the budget. So let us see how this cost centers can be created. So we go for accounts and for budget, create. So let us see budget for product lines. Lines which are my cost centers. 1st April 2014 to 31st May 2014 or 50. And here I set an option of cost centers, yes. So select the cost centers, Tally bold. It is an expenses, indirect. Here we have an option to set cost centers, expenses amount. income amount, and closing balance. Similarly, Tally Silver, so budget is done with respect to the cost centers also. Let us see this and do a budget variance against these cost centers, comparing the expenses and incomes, which is already accounted. So we go display, accounts books, ledgers or groups, indirect. Just go for your budgets of product line. Already the accounted information will be. So further transactions after the budget is done and you do few transactions and it gives you the budget and the variance. Right? So let us see both for expenses and income is given, and that is how you can check for this multi-budgets. So for viewing multi-budgets about the different expenses, you can use auto column or the new column showing the budget period, the type of values that you want to project it. Right? So let us see monthly budget for expenses, show variance, yes. Accordingly, the information will be fetched here. Right? So this is all about your multi-budget. We looked at a simple example for a parallel budget, remembering for the month of May. Common may need are multiple budgets. So matured organizations typically have more than one budget for the company. Example would be an aggressive budget and other one worst case budget. For example, a company could have an aggressive revenue budget for sales at 12 crores and a worst case budget of 8 crores. While looking at budget variance report, it is possible to look at multiple budgets at the same time. Let us look at how to look at multiple budgets. Very simple. Pull up the ledger group indirect expenses and view this in monthly format. All see the budget variance and select one of the budgets we had set up. So once Tally displays the report, press Alt-C, add columns and another budget variance as illustrated. Say yes to show variance. Tally will now show both budgets and their variance. An organization can see how it is tracking across multiple budgets in this way. Right? With this, we come to the end of today's session. So before concluding, we had covered cost centers, cost categories, budgets, ledger group cost centers, parallel budgets, multiple budgets. Right? So see you again. Thank you.